Welcome back, everyone, to the First Team NFL Draft and College Football Podcast, breaking it down, everything you need to know for college football heading into the 2024 season. You guys know we give you as many spotlight interviews as we possibly can, trying to introduce you to not only the next wave of great college football stars, but the next NFL draft prospects you need to know as well. I got a really cool one. I was just talking, I got Branson Combs with me, who's now on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, star linebacker, formerly of Southern Illinois. And funny enough, the first time I had briefly just DM'd with Branson, he was still a member of Southern Illinois. Then he goes in the portal, becomes one of the top ranked portal pickups this offseason on the defensive side of the football, has draftable grades from across NFL scouts that I have talked to already going into the 2025 NFL draft process. But Branson, really appreciate you for taking some time, man. I know you've made that transition down to Wake. How's everything been going for you, man?
It's been good. I got the opportunity to play in spring ball, obviously, because I made the winter transition into the portal. So, it was good to get down there and kind of get my feet wet, kind of be able to learn the defense as a whole and, and get to meet the guys and just kind of have a little, not a season, but it's a spring ball. You're playing football and getting to play with them and getting the opportunity to do that before actually going out there in the fall was, I think, really good for me. And kind of my thought process in going in the winter. So yeah, it's been good. It's been everything I've asked for. I've really enjoyed it. So, I'm excited about the season coming up.
Absolutely. And we're definitely going to get into the season because I'm excited for you as well. Because I mean, you guys quietly have some dudes coming back on the defensive side of the ball, like Jasheem Davis and yourself. So I really want to get into that. But first, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit to the background to a degree, right? Because I briefly before we started, I know you were an Indiana guy originally. Obviously, you stayed pretty close to home going to Southern Illinois, obviously a Midwestern guy originally. So can you just take me through a little bit maybe of the recruiting background? Because I know obviously you started your career as a prominent wide receiver for Southern Illinois after a great high school career, but just kind of take me through that recruitment and how you ended up at Southern.
Yeah, no, really out of high school, I didn't get too much recruitment. It was kind of between Southern Illinois and a couple other FCS schools. I was actually recruited more at linebacker, I'd say, out of high school, and I wanted to play receiver. And funny enough now, but so I wanted to play receiver, and that was like, I mean, I liked the staff and I liked everything about it, but that was kind of a big thing for me, and I had the opportunity to do that at Southern Illinois. So I went there, played obviously the first 2 seasons at receiver, and now I'm playing linebacker.
I love it, man. So when you were in high school though, were you because I haven't seen any of your like old huddle film or anything like that. Did you play linebacker? Were you more of a safety, like on the defensive side of the ball? What did you play in high school?
Yeah, I played like a Sam type of role in high school.
Gotcha.
It's a little
A
different
little
just
bit
because.
little bit of overhang type of
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah,
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 got it.
yeah. But it's in high school, you kind of got a lot less organization, I'd say, as far as what you're doing. So it was definitely different playing then than it is, now.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you ended up being a very, very good linebacker from Southern Illinois. I think you made all conference the last 2 years you were there. Can you talk to me? Because obviously, you weren't a guy that didn't know anything about playing linebacker with playing a bit in high school. But what was that transition like? Because I know you had a couple starts, like you had some production at wide receiver. What was it like making the transition from college wide receiver to college linebacker? Obviously, in a very competitive conference in the FCS as well.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, to be honest, I didn't want to do it at the beginning. I talked to Coach Hill. That was something. Well, I guess we played our season in the spring actually. So I played receiver in the spring, and then it's a turnaround straight into the fall for the next season because that was during COVID. And so yeah, it was going to be a quick turnaround, and they kind of brought it up, and I told them I didn't want to play linebacker. Really, is kind of how it went. But I also said, obviously, whatever you tell me to do is what I'm going to do. I get that. But if you're asking me what, like, I think that was kind of my opinion on it. And, obviously it worked out. I moved to linebacker. So it was a kind of a quick turnaround though. It was kind of figure it all out in that short summer, right into fall camp and right into the season. So, I mean, it took a little bit to kind of, get used to it and figure everything out, get back into the physicality of linebacker rather than an outside receiver. So, yeah, I mean, I think that first season was good just as far as getting myself back to how I need to play. on the defensive side of the ball, and kind of getting used to everything. But it didn't go as well as I would like as far as how it went, just because it's new. But I think as the years went on, I got more and more comfortable, and obviously looking back, that was the right decision.
Well, I was going to say you got to be kind of appreciative of the staff for making that switch because, I mean, again, you have some draftable grades as a linebacker now. So obviously that position switch has worked out up until this point.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I'm a better linebacker than I was receiver. I think it was more. That's just what I like to play. So no, it was. Yeah. I mean, they were completely in the right. It was better for the team, better for myself. It was more me being selfish, wanting to play the position that gets to catch balls and score touchdowns.
I definitely get it, man. Definitely get it. Well, I wanted to ask you, Branson, because obviously, the maybe workout regimen and the body type to play linebacker versus wide receiver is quite a bit different. And I know I saw on like the a couple, I think on the roster as well, they have you in the 220s right now as far as weight wise. I was just curious of how you've seen your body develop the last couple years now that you've really settled into the defensive side of the ball. Was that like a priority for you when you first made that switch to want to put extra weight on?
Yeah, no, it was at the beginning. I mean, I was probably 205 to 210 playing receiver. I was a little bigger body. I mean, that was kind of what preempted the move, I guess, as far as just I was a physical wide receiver, bigger built. So, I mean, it wasn't too much having to put on. I think it was kind of a little bit at a time, probably, 5-ish pounds a year. So yeah, I played last year at like 220 to 222. And I've kind of gotten up from there. Now it's around 227 to 229-ish in that range. So, yeah, no, that's been something that I've tried to kind of go slowly about. So it's not bad weight. So I think it's important to keep the athleticism that I do have from coming over to receiver, but at the same time, knowing that I need to put on weight just to be more capable in the box.
So I want to hear about your portal experience because I've talked to some people in the past that loved it. Some people that were like, this is overwhelming. I'm not a really big fan of the portal. First and foremost, you're a Midwestern guy, like I said, originally from Indiana, played in Illinois. What was the portal experience like, and what was the big reason for you coming down, obviously south a little bit, and play at Wake Forest now?
Yeah, it was. I guess my portal thought was that I went in not with the intention of trying to stay in the portal too long. I wanted to find a place that I felt like home, and I wanted to do it as quick as possible, to be honest. I wanted to know where I was going, have assurance of kind of what would happen over the break. And I thought the earlier I could do that, the better it would be. So I entered on a Monday, I think, talked to a couple teams, obviously one being Wake, and went to visit Wake that weekend. So that Friday, Saturday, and committed as soon as I got there. So it really wasn't much for me, honestly, because I wasn't in it very long. And I knew as soon as I got there that I found everything I wanted. So there was really no point of doing anything else or taking any other visits. So it was a short one for me, but like I said, I found what I wanted. So I didn't think there was any more need to look for anything else.
So as far as Wake Forest, because I mean, I think that people have kind of underestimated the job that Coach Clawson's done over the last few years at Wake. I mean, they are, because I remember, I don't know if you, I mean, obviously you're a bit younger than me or considerably younger than me. When I was growing up, Wake was bad, dude. Like Wake was a really bad program. Now, I mean, perennial bowl team, perennial competitor in the ACC. Like, how excited are you to continue to build what Coach Clawson has built already at Wake Forest?
No, it's very excited. And I mean, just to see the difference of kind of where the program was headed before and after Coach Clawson, it's significant, really. I mean, he's really turned it around. He's a great coach. You can obviously see, but just by looking at that, obviously it's kind of tougher on the outside, but me being on the inside, knowing all the little things that are done. But yeah, no, I mean, he's turned it around. He has the program going exactly where it should be. So no, he's a great coach, and I'm excited to be able to play under.
So how are you meshing right now into the defense? Because like I said, I know there was a couple guys obviously on the back end in the secondary that were big losses this offseason, but I mean there's some guys up front like Jasheen Davis. I think that front seven especially should be a very stout one coming into 2024. How have you been acclimating to the new defensive system and just working with these coaches obviously?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is verbiage is really the calls, different verbiage for formations or how run fits are, kind of how to teach them. At the end of the day, I mean, a lot of defenses are similar, and one that I played in was somewhat similar. It's just as far as the concept as a whole, but learning the verbiage and that stuff was kind of the hurdle, I guess, trying to get over as far as learning it. But then I think once I kind of got it all, not that I have yet, but once I've kind of got to where I felt somewhat comfortable with what all I was doing, my assignments, I think that allowed me to play a little faster during the spring. But that's something that's going to have to keep working through the summer and into fall camp to make sure that everything's spot on during the season, because that's really the main thing of making sure that the playbook, I have everything down and that kind of thing.
So I'm curious because now that with the 1 year transfer opportunities, right? Like for you, you're coming into a new environment, new system, new teammates, all that type of stuff. I know you got there in the winter into the spring, so it's a little bit different because you've been gelling with the team at this point for several months. But how do you balance, Branson, being a newcomer to the team, but also being a guy that has a good resume, that has leadership qualities, that has been in college for a while? Like, how do you balance the being a veteran with also being a newcomer to the team?
Yeah, no, that's probably one of the tougher things about, I guess, being the 1 year transfer is that I've played, my last couple of years, I was a leader at Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
So going from that role kind of to being now a follower really is when you get here, I'm no different than a freshman, I guess, is how I try to look at it. With me coming in is kind of put my ego to the side, sit behind these guys that have been here, guys that know the culture, guys that have created the culture, helped build the culture.
Yeah.
Kind of just sit back and listen really is what I think was best, is just going and working as hard as I could every day. Not being a guy that's going to show up on lists or anything like that. Really just working and trying to figure my way into the culture and the relationships that are here. And I mean, at the end of the day, earn my respect on the field. I think that's big as far as I've never put a Wake Forest jersey on. So I think for me to come in here and try to, say this or say that or try to point things out, I don't think that's my place, is kind of my view on it. So that's not something I did. I kind of sat back and worked as hard as I could and, let guys who have been there and who have done this at Wake Forest be the leaders on the team and, follow their footsteps.
So I forgot to ask this, and this is actually kind of interesting. I feel like this answer could go a couple different ways. So, like I said, you're a Midwestern guy, family, I'm sure, mostly in the Midwest. Are they happy to be able to come down to the Carolinas now for a couple home games? Like, it's nice to get down for a little bit. I would assume.
Yeah, no, my mom's already talking about the trips, got them all planned out. So yeah, no,
Nice.
they are excited to kind of get to venture off a little bit from that Midwest football that they've been used to.
Yeah, get a little bit of good weather,
Yeah,
thankfully. Not some
exactly.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm a Northeast guy, so not quite Midwest, and I know about some
Mhm.
bad weather up here in the North, no doubt. So I'm happy for
Yeah,
them for that in that
no,
instance.
for sure.
I got two more for you. One team centric, and then just talking a little bit from the NFL draft perspective. So, team centric. Coach Clawson's been there for a while. He has created a consistently good product on the field. It feels like every single year, obviously occasional down year, but for the most part, it's a very sustainable product that he puts out. So I assume that the goals are probably usually similar. I know that doesn't really, it's not really a question for you because this is your first year, but as far as heading into 2024, what are some goals that you guys have set? Like, what would make a final successful season for yourself be, and what would make a successful season for Wake be in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one goal is to find our way into the 12-team playoff. I think that being big this year that 12 teams get in, and finding yourself there, giving yourself an opportunity to play for a national championship. I think that's probably going to be the goal of every team. Because I mean, really, if you're stepping out on the field and not expecting to win certain games, then you might as well not step out there. So I mean, at the end of the day, that's the goal, is to make the way into the 12 team college football playoff.
Love it. And my last question for you is, you obviously gave some insight into your background, a not heavily recruited kid that is now playing major Power 4 football for your final year and has been super successful in the previous stop here. So my question is, from like an NFL draft perspective, the journey that you've been on, being under recruited, maybe a little bit unheralded, now having this type of opportunity in front of you, just how much of a blessing is that, man? To just kind of know that, like, hey, if I take care of business this year, I have a good opportunity here to continue playing football, make it a living, do all those types of things. How grateful and blessed do you feel just for the opportunity that's in front of you?
No, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, if you would tell me that I had this in front of me as a little kid, I wouldn't believe it. But I mean, that's something, me, just like I'm sure plenty others, that's you dream about as a kid, is getting the opportunity to play in front of thousands of fans, which I'm going to get to do this year. And just the opportunity to continue playing after college. That was something I really didn't even think about probably until the last year or so. I was really just playing in college, thinking nothing of it as far as I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm just playing football. I'm glad I get to keep playing now, and to be at the point now where I have an opportunity to continue playing after college is it's unbelievable, really, to kind of sit back and think about that. I am in a position where if I do what I need to do, that I could continue playing football.
And it's that you came back for the final year, because now you get to play with yourself in the new NCAA football game that's coming out very soon as well.
No,
So
absolutely.
hopefully they give you a good overall in that, by the way, man. If they don't, you need to call them and be like, hey, man, do you see my resume? Like, I have a pretty good resume here to uptick a couple of times. But Branson, I really appreciate this so much, man. Thank you so much for joining the show today. I will be sure to keep a close eye on how you're doing on a week-to-week basis this year, man, and obviously the Wake Forest program. But thank you so much for joining the show today, man. It's very appreciated.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you having me.